Hi, I'm Amanda, and I'd like to thank you for purchasing the Reason tutorial from Ask Video. Whether you're a novice user or a seasoned pro, this tutorial will help you. Section 2. Getting to know the instruments and effects in Reason. The mixer and line mixer. As they say, the money is all in the mix. Get to know the Reason mixer.
The 14-channel mixer in Reason is simple and easy to use. Let's take a closer look at all the features. Just so we don't lose track, remember Reason labels each channel in the mixer that has a device connected to it with the name of the device. Let's create a few devices to show this. We'll create a Dr. Rex and a Malmstrom. Notice that now it says Dr. Rex 1 and Malmstrom 1. If I create another Dr. Rex or another Malmstrom, it displays Dr. Rex 2 or Malmstrom 2 and displays a read-only label with the name of the device. With enough devices, this could get confusing, and while I can't change the names on the mixer, I can change the name of the device. So click on the name on the device itself, in this case Dr. Rex 1, and type in the new one. Let's do the same for one of our Malmstroms. See how it's reflected in the mixer? Let's just load in a loop so I can show you some of the other features. Hit the preview button so we can listen to it. It's a bit fast. Let's lower the tempo. The channel faders control the volume for each channel. If you ever want it back to its original level, hold down Control on the PC or Command on the Mac and click. It works for the other knobs too. If we'd like to add a little EQ to our mix, we have some basic EQs included here. One for bass, set at 80 Hz, and another set at 12 kHz. To make the EQ work, turn on the EQ button and start twiddling. If you need more advanced EQ, you can always use a PEQ2 parametric EQ as an insert for a device. Make sure our Dr. Rex is highlighted, go to Create, and select PEQ2 so that the EQ will auto-route itself. Back to the mixer EQ for a second. Back when Reason 2.5 came out, the EQ modules in the mixer were improved to get an even better sounding character. It's usually advisable to use a better sounding EQ whenever possible. However, if you should want to go back to the old style EQ, so something you did in previous versions sounds the same, click the little switch on the back of the mixer, Improved EQ for the new EQ types, or Compatible EQ for the old style EQ. Let's set both the bass and treble to 3 o'clock. You should be able to hear the difference. The parameters are exactly the same in both cases. Let's delete both our Malmstroms and now create a Dr. Rex for a guitar line. Okay, sounds good. Next up, we have the mute and solo buttons. We can mute or solo as many channels as we wish. Just keep in mind that once you are in solo mode, you can't mute a channel that is soloed. We can also use the pan knobs to pan sounds left or right. Have a look at the channel meter. The meter is a graphical representation of the channel's output level. This is useful to make sure we have a nice strong signal, and when it goes red, it lets us know we are overdoing it, causing clips and distortion. Here we have our mixer sends. Typically, we use these for effect processing. If you'd like to connect a particular send to an effect, make sure the mixer is highlighted and create the desired effect. Let's choose a reverb on send 1. Notice that it auto-routes the reverb. Let's trace the signal path so we understand what's going on. Hit Tab so we see the back of our rack. Send effects work in a way where some of the dry signal is sent to an effect processor and then mixed back with the dry signal. Let's disconnect the cables and set it up manually. The wires on the back go from the left and right outs on Send 1 into the input of the reverb unit. Notice that the reverb is almost always a stereo effect, so it automatically routes it stereo. The reason for this is in order for a stereo reverb effect to work properly, the reverb has to know where the sound exists in the stereo field, so the appropriate reflections will be created. The outs of the reverb unit route back to stereo return 1, where it gets mixed back in with the dry signal on the channel. Let's listen to it. Hit tab again and turn up aux number 1. This sends the drums to the reverb unit. Turn up the send on the guitar too. The reverb volume coming back into the mixer is the return knob right here. It's kind of like the master volume for the reverb. Moving right along, assign a delay on Send 2 and a chorus flanger on Send 3. Notice that by default it wires them mono, but returns in stereo. You can change this to stereo in and stereo out if you need to. Let's hear the new effects we added. The sends in Reason's mixer are defaulted to post fader, meaning that the strength of the signal going to the sends is dependent on the volume of the fader. Let's mute the guitar and demonstrate this with the drums. See when I pull the fader down? The reverb goes with it, but we can also use our sends pre-fader, meaning that the signal that goes to the sends is independent of the fader. To demonstrate, let's create another reverb on Send 4. This time we can set Send 4 to be pre-fader when we click on the little P beside the send. Now let's turn on the reverb. Seems the same. What's the difference? Turn down the fader and we have nothing but reverb. The classic all-wet effect. Need more channels? Just highlight the mixer and create another one, and the two mixers are linked together, effectively creating one larger 28-channel mixer. The master out of the new mixer is connected to the chaining master input of our old mixer. It's hard to see here, but the auxiliary outs of the second mixer are connected into the chaining auxiliary of our first mixer. This means that if we take our guitar and put it into the second mixer, we can use the reverb of the first mixer. You don't have to chain the auxiliaries to have effects on the second mixer. It can have its own effects like the first mixer does, but I just wanted to show you the crazy possibilities. Let's put the guitar back and kill the second mixer. Now let's talk about the line mixer. Reason features a 6-channel line mixer with pan, volume, mute, solo, and one post-fader effect send for each channel. This is great if you don't want to use a full mixer for simple submixing. For example, we have a redrum with 4 tracks playing. Let's submix the various sounds and send them to the main mixer. Let's disconnect the redrum and reconnect the line mixer from its individual outputs. Let's insert a reverb on the line mixer. Give the snare some reverb. Notice that the auxiliary on the line mixer can be switched from post to pre. Just like its bigger brother, you can stack them for more channels. You'll notice that on the back panel, there are a whole bunch of CV knobs and inputs. This is the way that Reason allows devices to be controlled remotely from other devices. We'll explain CV in an upcoming chapter. This concludes our tour of the mixer and the line mixer. By now, you know your way around the mixer, how it's hooked up, and now you're ready to mix.